Hello Mzansi, sanamukela ku Dijo Le Bophelo la kwa SABC2. This is your favorite show ngoba it's the only show edila nge-food consciousness nama health issues. Every week sinimeme ukuthi nisibuze noma yini enifuna ukuyazi ngokudla. Bese ke thina sithola ongqondo bethu ukuthi baphendule imibuzo yenu. Now, are you one of those people that doesn't bother reading information ebhalwe kuma food labels? Uyafana nje noMamello. Well, namhlanje we are tackling that. Mamello posted a video on our Instagram page with questions about nutritional information.
Dijo Le Bophelo, ke na le dipotso tse kwatlang ho di tseba ka di-food nutrition and di tholahala ko dijong tse feng.
Siyahamba sahlangana noMamello to learn more about her before simphendula. Let's watch.
Lebitso la ka ke Mamello, ke na le 25 years, ke dula mo Bila, Limpopo. Ke rata ho shebella TV, le mamela radio. Ke mme wa ngwana o one, I recently got engaged, so right now ke dula ke phela family ya ka hobane ha ke sa batla re reke di-take away. Ha ke rate di-take away hobane jano di contribute ho mafu a mangata a batho ba banang le bona matsatsing a hona tje. Ke phetse bophelo ba ka nako telele ke reka dijo empa a zang ka tla ka nako ya ka hore ke shebe ka mora ha dijo hore ho ngotswe eng. Ke nentse ke itjotsa hore ntho tseo di etseditse di-food specialist empa ne ke sa itjotsa hore di etseditse rona the ordinary consumer. Moraonyana matsatsing ke ile ka kopana le tshimo ya ka e ntjotsa hore dintho tse ngotsweng ka mora di-food labels di important ho rona hobane ke tsona tse re jotsang hore dijo tsa rona di na le eng ka hare le hore re kgone ho tseba hore re fepa di-family tsa rona eng ka hare ho dijo tse re di phehang ka mehla le matsatsi. Dijo Le Bophelo ke kopa le nhlalosetse hore bohlokwa ba information e ngotsweng ka hare ka mora dijo tsa rona ke eng and e re affecta jwang.
After the break, we are joined by clinical dietitian Kgololo Pooe, who will be answering imibuzo ka Mamello. Please join in to Twitter at Dijo Le Bophelo or on Instagram or Facebook me Dijo Le Bophelo or email me dijolebopilo@sabc.co.za. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Usasenami la ku Dijo Le Bophelo. Namhlanje sikhuluma nge-nutritional information on food labels. That's our viewers' question from Mamello. Clinical dietitian Kgololo Pooe will be giving valuable answers to Mamello's questions. But first, let us find out more about him. Thank you for spending your morning with us.
Thank you for having me.
So before the break, we heard ukuthi Mamello gets confused umefunda ama food labels, good nutritional information. She does not have a clue how they work or what they mean. She has specific questions that she posted on our Twitter page, so we will be answering these questions with our guest, of course. You can also have your say on this subject. Go Twitter at Dijo Le Bophelo, go Instagram, or Facebook me Dijo Le Bophelo, or email us at dijolebopilo@sabc.co.za. Kgololo, let's get into this discussion. So, same as me, I go and I buy stuff and I see these food labels and the nutritional information. I don't understand how it works and why it's there. Could you help us with that?
Okay, looking at different types of food that we buy, generally the nutritional information or food labeling.
Yes.
In those food labeling, they tell you actually what are you eating, how much of what you're eating, how much of carbohydrate is there,
yes,
how much starch, and the protein.
And it says energy there with like a high number.
Energy a certain number.
Yeah.
Per 100 grams or per serving in energy.
Okay.
Is it too much energy or is it low energy?
Okay.
Or is it high protein or low protein? So it can tell you that certain products we are killing in the contents pertaining to the protein, sugars,
yeah,
carbohydrates, and energy.
Okay. So the importance of the food labels, is it basically for that, to know what we are eating, or are there other reasons?
Okay. The main the food labels is to show you whatever you're eating, it has how much of different constituents like your protein, your fats, your sugars, and your energy. Like for example, carbo, it's health conscious. When you're health conscious, you know, I wouldn't have fats that's more than 5 grams per serving.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, I'm not health conscious. Whether it's written 10 grams per serving, I don't care. So when you're health conscious, it will actually tell you how much you're taking in. Not only for the health conscious person, but generally, you need to tell the consumers what you're selling to them. It's by law.
And allergies. So it's important, allergens. Yes. Okay, so what are allergens? Okay,
more parting at the allergen, the allergies are the nuts.
Yes.
Like if I have a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
In a long while, this chocolate was made from a factory that produces nuts.
Yes.
So, and I have an allergy of nuts. I eat the chocolate, I have an anaphylactic shock.
And that chocolate, that thing, I need nuts.
It doesn't have nuts, but it was made from a factory that produces nuts.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Or maybe it has lactose. Some people are lactose intolerant.
Yes.
So such things, they give the consumer that information, or maybe if ask about a problem akule or something.
Okay.
So you don't blame the company for not mentioning it.
Let's see Mamello's next question.
Keying the proteins and the tolahala thing.
What are proteins and which foods carry this? Because I know most people will think proteins what other foods would have proteins?
Okay, Lama Tomo, I can start saying what are proteins? The protein represents the achamele, building blocks. Okay, like for example, but what batlang ujima baja ing, ka arikejana ma omo ungali lele sabu lele yalo koso batla protein. Protein ki the building block. Not building blocks are milefela, like the enzymes that more milling to function to happen, they're made of protein, and other hormones, most hormones, let me say hormones, are made of protein. Okay. So they are building blocks of our bodies because they contain all the amino acids.
All right.
Because in our body, renality, essential amino acid and non-essential. The essential one, the one we need that our body cannot produce. The non-essential, your body can produce, but the essential, your body cannot produce. That's why we have to eat them. What are the sources? For example, we have eggs.
Yes, you brought some eggs, hey?
I brought some eggs there.
Lovely.
So, for example, let's say eggs. Okay. Eggs, they are a cheap source of protein. These days, the economy, the rent is low. Hey, they're getting so expensive. But eggs used to be the cheaper sources of protein.
Yeah.
If you cannot afford to buy meat, people will eat what? Sometimes eggs.
And you can boil them, you can fry them, you can poach them.
Be careful. We can boil, we can poach, we are avoiding frying. Dijo Le Bophelo, remember.
There we go.
Okay, so you're going to avoid frying. Then we'll get to the frying part on another section.
Okay.
You understand?
So what else have you brought, which is protein?
No, I also brought lean chicken and fish.
Okay, and I noticed that you've skinned them.
Okay, there's a reason for skinning them. If you don't skin the chicken, what's going to happen? You're going to have what we call saturated fatty acids. What's wrong with saturated fatty acids? It's they cause problems with our hearts. Maybe like high blood pressure, and the other ones cause atherosclerosis. So if it's lean like this, it's much better. Not that we shouldn't have saturated fatty acids. We need only 7% of saturated per day. Per day. Saturated fatty.
So if mutuja chicken enangli skin on top of it, that's way too much of the saturated.
That's way too much, unless that's the only saturated fats they had that time. Because some will have skin and will have the other saturated fats. You understand? So it's better to remove the skin.
Because you know, skin.
Okay, what I usually do when I cook, I make sure I remove it before cooking. Because once you cook it first, you'll never remove it. You understand? You end up eating it.
So you are a chef?
Not really.
And then in terms of your fish?
Okay, your fish, what I like about your fish, it's more lean. Your fish is not fatty, but it depends how you cook it also. What I like about fish is the sources of the omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for our brain development. And also, it's anti-inflammatory, the omega-3 fatty acid. They helps our blood vessels to always open up. So the blood flows. If your vessels close, it will cause what? Atherosclerosis and also high blood pressure, which will even hurt your blood vessels even more. Causing a blockage. The fats will clog and clog and clog, and it closes. When it closes,
when they say you've clogged your blood, what do they mean? Is that what they mean?
Yes, it means it's closed now. It's closed, and there's fat streaks inside the vessels. And when there are fat streaks, they're gonna block. If it blocks, if your heart is not getting blood, it dies. That's why there's heart attack. But if the emboli or the clot travels to the head, the vessels are small in the head, it causes a stroke. So you want to avoid it by eating healthier types of meat and avoiding bad fats. You understand?
We can avoid that by eating the right foods. I see you've brought some pistachios.
Yes, what I like about pistachio nuts, not only they are a good source of protein, but they're expensive. So to my viewers, we have different viewers from different locations, from different economical backgrounds. What we usually have, ekasi, what is it? Peanuts.
Peanuts.
We have peanuts, but be careful, not the salted ones. The dry one. Why not salted ones? We don't want to elevate our blood pressure.
Because there's too much salt,
too much
sodium.
Salt, you understand?
Yeah.
And raw salt is dangerous. Unless you cook a certain amount, pour in your pot, but not on your plate or on the peanuts. It's dangerous because it's going to raise your blood pressure and may cause what? High blood pressure. And we don't want to get there. And when your high blood pressure is raised, it can also hurt your kidneys. So there are a lot of logistics in these things, you understand?
Yes.
But rather other sources of nuts, which are cheaper, your peanuts. But there are other sources of nuts like your cashews, your pecan nuts, your walnuts, and
which are also good for you.
Also good for you.
Which ones are not good for you? Is it just?
I can't say there are nuts that are not good for you. Problem, you do not add the salt. Rather have the one without salt.
Okay. So what happens when a person does not have enough protein?
Okay, like I've mentioned earlier, I keep saying the protein they are building blocks. So what's going to build if there's no protein? Your body is going to deteriorate. Like for example, I can make an example with kids that have what we call malnutrition, if you heard of that.
Yes.
Malnutrition, like specifically what they call kwashiorkor. It's a protein energy malnutrition. So when there's no protein, your body is going to go under, it won't control the water in your body. So your albumin goes low, and what happens? They get bigger bellies and they get what we call a moon face.
Is that water retention? Or is
exactly. Your body, water gets retained because where the permeability is now lost. Because the protein, one of the function is to make sure the oncotic pressure is close. Your water goes where, it stays where they should be. You understand? And the other deficiencies, you have a problem with your muscles, like what you call sarcopenia.
Yes.
You understand that your muscles won't be functioning very well. Another thing, your body won't make hormones. Your body won't make enzymes. What's going to digest your food? How your hormones are going to work? You're going to be unstable, and that can cause someone to die. Actually, when you don't have enough protein, some they lose weight until they become what they call protein energy malnutrition, and they get wasted thin, and without stores, you die. And so that's the risk of not having enough protein.
And the good thing that you mentioned is that you don't only have to get it from one source; you can get it from other sources.
Other sources, and also what we didn't bring here, also you can get protein from your milk, also. Milk also, or from your cheese as well.
This is cow's milk.
Also cow's milk.
Okay.
Yes, you can get protein. Also the soy milk is the plant source.
Yes.
It also has proteins in it.
And things like your beans and lentils.
And also your beans and your lentils.
Yeah.
And different types of beans. Kidney beans, pinto beans, whatever beans you want.
And I like the fact that you did bring them here. So these are also very good for you.
Yes, you see. This is what I call cheaper sources of protein. Like I said with the eggs. But the eggs are now in the major league.
Yes, in the major league now.
So beans, they're still a cheaper source of protein. Although they take time to prepare, but these days people buy canned ones.
I was about to ask you about canned beans. Are they good?
A problem with me with canned food, it's the sodium levels inside. And we don't want too much salt in your body. That's the problem I have with canned beans.
Yeah, so rather buy the beans and then cook them.
Cook them yourself.
Okay.
Yes, they're healthier and they're a good source of protein. They don't have fat.
Fantastic.
I mean, they're good for your heart. And yes.
Let's move on to the next question.
Carbohydrates, tona ke eng, and it for mahana dijon tse feng.
What are carbohydrates? So we talked about protein. What are carbohydrates?
Okay, carbohydrates, like most your starch.
Yes.
Mostly, ne?
Yes.
Okay, what are the sources of good carbohydrates? Okay, firstly, I mention there are good carbohydrates, there are bad carbohydrates. Like there's simple sugars, there are complex sugars.
Yes.
The simple carbohydrates are your white bread and your refined sugar, you understand?
Yeah.
Your white bread, your pap, those are simple carbohydrates. And you get the complex carbohydrates, your mabele, your oats, and your low GI seeded bread. Those are your complex carbohydrates.
Okay.
And also your, let me say your corn. It's also a carbohydrate. It's a vegetable, corn, but it's a carbohydrate also. So what's the difference? The good carbohydrates, your mabele, your low GI seeded breads, it's just that they are higher in fiber, low in energy. What does fiber do? Fiber, it can trap the cholesterol in your body, release it out. You understand?
So
it cleans you. And also the fiber helps to absorb sugar slowly, especially when you are diabetic. When you eat the complex carbohydrate, they help to absorb sugar slowly. But the simple sugars like your white bread and your rice, the short grain, what do? They take up sugar quickly in your body. That's why when a diabetic gets a low sugar, some they give white bread.
Yeah, so that you can lift your sugar level.
Quickly. But on a health perspective, the complex carbohydrates like your oats, mabele, and your low GI bread, it's more healthier option.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. It's just amazing with the wording because you would think the complex is what's bad. You want the simple. Exactly. Yeah, but it's the other way around. Yes. Makes sense. Yes. Let's see Mamello's next question.
Hape ke batla ho tseba hore ba tjho reng ha ba bua ka saturated and unsaturated fat.
Oh, I need to know this. Saturated and unsaturated fats.
Okay, Kabo. The wording there, you would think saturated, unsaturated. The one is saturated, it's better. No, because it's saturated.
Yes,
this one is
unsaturated.
No, the difference is that when you go chemically now, going back to school.
We have to go back to school.
Saturated, they don't have any bonds in their molecules, meaning they are the hard fats. In room temperature, they are the hard fats.
This is saturated.
One. Yes, and I brought an example of a stew.
Okay, that is, okay, let us get that now.
Okay, so any fat that is hard in room temperature, you know it's saturated. But there's a trick. There are some saturated fats that are not hard, like your coconut oil, pumpkin oil. They are saturated fats, but they're not hard. If you can get the trick.
Automatically, I think those are good because it's coconut and it's
good, yes.
Yeah,
but we said saturated fats are hard in room temperature. Yes, but coconut oil is not hard and pumpkin oil, but it's still saturated.
Okay, all right.
So.
But those are good for you.
Exactly.
All right.
So then we have unsaturated. Unsaturated is like your polyunsaturated and your mono. Yes. So what is the unsaturation? In their bonds, chemically, molecules, they have double bonds. Mono, they have one bond. Polyunsaturated, they have many bonds. You understand? But the trick is do not overheat them, the poly and the mono.
Yeah, I think that's the problem because how repair? We light the stove and we cook too much.
And when you overheat them, like something to do with deep frying, they change into trans fatty acids, which we don't want. Like your burgers, your slab chips.
Yes.
What do they do? The trans fatty acids, what I talked about, clogging.
They clog.
Instead of the cholesterol moving from your vessels out, they go there.
They go in.
You understand?
Yeah.
So unsaturated, your poly and your mono, like your avocado, your margarine, your olive oil, your canola, those ones, they help to improve your fat profile, like your HDL and LDL. The HDL is the good cholesterol, LDL is the bad. Why? Because HDL has more lipoprotein.
What does HDL stand for?
The HDL is the high density.
Okay.
Lipoprotein. The LDL is the low density lipoprotein. High density means that there's more lipoproteins.
Okay.
The LDL is low density lipoproteins, meaning that it has more of the cholesterol. But the HDL has less cholesterol. So in your poly and your mono, it improves your profile, your fat profile. It means there's more HDL. And if there's more HDL, it's going to take up the cholesterol in your blood vessels out of your body. But if there's more LDL
it's going to clog.
It's going to clog.
Okay.
That's the difference with the fats, you understand?
All
so
right.
the sources I said with the poly and mono, your avocado, good fats, not too much though.
Yes.
Good fats.
It's good fats,
I said also different types of nuts has good fats in this room.
Okay, but how much Evo can you take?
Okay, Evo for me, if it's medium size, I can finish it. But if it's big, usually I cut it half.
And then have another half another day.
One of the benefits of is not only the fat, also the vitamin E for your skin.
Yes.
So there's more added benefits.
That's great. Okay, Kgololo, let's get into the stew.
Okay, if you look at the stew, when I prepared it at home, the oil was just fine. I didn't see any hardening. But now this shows it was running when it was hot.
Okay.
And when it gets cold, it gets so hard. It shows it's an example of saturated fatty acids. For example, like mochodu.
Yes.
You see how it gets hard when it's cold. It's an example of a saturated fatty acid. And I brought some example, the streaky bacon here.
So the way this gets hard, this is what happens inside my system.
In your arteries, they clog. And when it clogs, what happens? Your heart cannot get the blood. Your heart is not getting the blood, it dies. That's why I call it a heart attack. Because it doesn't have any oxygen.
And then you brought this.
Yes. Okay. This is an example of fat, your saturated fatty acids, like your visible fat. That's why when you prepare your meat or any type of food, you remove the visible fat. Why? You're removing the heart attack away, if I may say.
Yes, I like the way you're saying that. So it's not heart attack.
You understand.
But many people don't remove it because they say that's where the goodness is.
They say where the goodness is, but the goodness is with life. And if you eat that, you're going to die.
Yes.
Not now, but eventually.
But eventually.
Get there.
And talk to me about, so this is the chicken with the skin, and you explained.
It's also saturated fatty acids. Don't get into the habit of before preparing. Yes. Because if you can prepare it, you're going to eat it.
Thank you so much for this valuable information.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great experience.
Thank you. Did we give you a great experience? Do you want to add to our experience? Maybe you can tweet me at Dijo Le Bophelo or Instagram, Facebook me, Dijo Le Bophelo, or email me on dijolebophelo@sabc.co.za. This interview is being posted online for Mamello to view and take our notes. You can also log on and watch us again on our SABC Education's YouTube page. Just look for us lapaya ku Dijo Le Bophelo. After the break, we go back to Mamello and hear what she has learned from Ingxoxo Yam with my expert. Siyabuya khona manje. Welcome back. Usasanam la Dijo Le Bophelo on SABC2. When we met Mamello earlier on in the show, ebefuna ukwazi ukuthi ama-food labels afundwa kanjani. She has seen Ingxoxo Yam no Kgololo online. Let's touch base with Mamello to find out what she's picked up from our chat with our expert.
Wow, what a great show. Ona jwale se ke a tseba hore ho bohlokwa jang hore re bale di-food labels tsa rona, re utlwisise, re tsebe le hore hona le eng e leng ka hara dijo tsa rona, dijo tse re di fepang di-family tsa rona. Ke ile ka makala haholo ha ba re jwetsa ka saturated and unsaturated fat. Hobane mafura a nna ke wa tsebang ke fish oil re sebedisang. Ke ne ke sa tsebe hore ba bua ka mafura a leng ka hare ho dijo tsa rona tse re di rekang. And mafura ao aka ba handful ko maphelong a rona. Hona jwale ha ke reka ke tlamehile ke reke dijo tse nang le less carbohydrates le less saturated fat. Hobane carbohydrate ha e kena mo mmeleng ya rona e fetola tswekere and le tsona dintho tseo ha da re lokela mo mmeleng. Ke rata lelapa la ka mme ke batla ho bontsha seo ka hore ke kgethe dijo tse ke ba etsetsang tsona le hore ke ba phehele dintho tse ba loketseng mmeleng ya bona. Ke a leboha Dijo Le Bophelo hobane tsebo e leng fileng yona ka jeno ha e tlo thusa nna ke le mong empa e tla thusa le malapa a mang hore ba tsebe hore ba kgethe dijo tse loketseng malapa a bona. Ke a leboha.
Awuyaphela ke show yethu namhlanje kodwa ningakhathazeki niyazi ukuthi ingxoxo iyaqhubeka online awungilahlele ngetweet uthi Dijo Le Bophelo or Facebook Dijo Le Bophelo or email me dijolebophelo@sabc.co.za ngizonithola la khona manje. Ningakhohlwa bakithi ukuthi le show le yenzelwe nini ukuthi nikhululeke nisibuze zonke bonke mayelana nokudla. Phela ngaphandle kwemibuzo yenu dololo iDijo Le Bophelo. So please nisibuzeni via social media, email or uhambe eposini ungishaye ngencwadi. Maybe your question will be selected for next week's show. Maslangane la on SABC2 for more Dijo Le Bophelo next week, same place, same time. Ngizokuthola la.